Again, when you left there was all this. I mean, I read it and I heard Brent left. He stormed off. He just tell us about just leaving because it was just one day. You're not there anymore. Howard doesn't even really mention it. Tell us a little bit about that week where you actually have to tell them. And you're telling me it was fine. I had an idea, but tell us a little bit about that ending.
Yeah. So as much as I can tell you. Here's what I can tell you. I just went to the powers that be and said, this is what I'm thinking. And then, like I said, I can't really get into detail, but there was a lot of back and forth. And then, we worked out an amicable deal where we can all shake hands and walk away friends. But I left. And here's the thing is lots of people say, oh, he was fired. I wouldn't be able to legally say that I was not fired. If I was fired, I'd legally, if you know anything about corporate exit agreements, it would cost me a shit ton of money if I was fired and I went out there and said I wasn't fired. It just would. It was just, I wasn't. I have no ill will towards SiriusXM. They have no ill will towards me. Same with the Stern Show. I just wanted out of New York. I wanted out of the cold. I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to move back into the tropics. So I'm only going to live one of three places the rest of my life, either the Tampa Bay area, New Orleans, or out in the Venice Beach, Santa Monica area of California. That's it. Those are the only three places I'm really interested in living. So I wanted to get back here, and I wanted to do my thing, and coronavirus played a small role into it. I'd say 10 to 15%. That pushed me over the edge. I was like, this is getting ready to get real bad in New York. I told my wife, real bad. So once I signed my exit agreement in mid-March, we weren't going to move to the end of March. We moved it up 2.5 weeks and said, we're getting out of New York area right now. So we packed everything up and we hauled ass down here. And luckily enough, I had a friend that could let me stay with him until I got an apartment let me stay with him for about a month and a half till I got this beautiful apartment for, it's a third of what I was paying in Jersey City. So in Jersey City, I had a 600 square foot apartment. Here, I've got over 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, huge, in the sweetest part of St. Pete. And it's the rent's almost nothing. We got used to paying New York prices. I'm like, really? That's what you want for this apartment? Where do I sign the lease and how long can I sign for? So I'm just much happier now.
Yeah, my goal is to be a neighbor of yours, at least in the winter, and that's what my wife and I are trying to live vicariously through you as we I don't know if we'll be coming over.
St. Pete, Brad.
Yeah.
St. Pete. That's where you want to be.
we like the West Palm, Jupiter area, kind of. That's where the Cardinals have spring training. Yeah, it's beautiful over there. It's a little more expensive, but we'll figure out a way. I'm amazed. I was looking at that because I think March 11th may have been your last day, and I'm fairly certain March 13th was the day the NBA shut down. So, I mean, that is crazy that it happened like that because we were me and my wife and my stepson were going to Disney World that next week, and she's like, I don't know if it's, she's like, they're going to close it. And we're like, everyone's like, they're not closing Disney World. It's like, they don't close Florida, Clark, and they, son of a bitch, closed goddamn Disney World. So she knew about it before then. Do you get a chance? You made it sound like you don't even really want to talk to Howard, even when you're trying to do work. So I'm assuming there's been no contact with him since, right? Or has there?
When I left, there was contact with him, and he was... it could not have been nicer. I wish I could get on here and read you the note that he sent me and the note that I sent him. As a human being, he's a sweet human being. I love him and Beth as people. They are great people. And he sent me a beautiful note when I left. And I'm just not gonna bug the guy, obviously. But I do keep in contact with almost everybody there. Just because they're friends. They've been friends of mine since 04, 05. So it's been a lot of years that I've known these people. So. And in the business, it's a small business, and once Howard retires or they trickle out and leave and go do some other stuff, who knows who might work together or who will be on whose shows. So I just try to stay in contact with everybody.
Yeah. So with Bubba, you weren't obviously up at Sirius that much. And then you joined in 2014, so you didn't really get to be around Artie Lange a lot, but I always love to ask anybody who was around Artie Lange, do you have a good Artie Lange story? He did come to Bubba's wedding. It became a huge, great story for both shows, I'm assuming. And he would call in, too, every once in a while. Did you get to know Artie real well?
Yeah, I did, actually. And even when I was leaving Bubba's show, he was one of the people that I talked to on the phone, and he kind of was like, Brent, you're going to be fine. You're going to be great. Everything's awesome. So I love Artie. Artie is one of my favorite people in the world. Like, the guy is a sweetheart, and he's got a huge heart. And I feel for him for any of the pain that he's in. And I've told him personally up at Sirius when I've seen him up there, even with any of the bullshit he was going through with some of the people from the show not liking him, I just pulled him aside and said, hey, man, if you ever need anything, just give me, and I just texted him this the other day. If you ever need anything, support, or even somebody to talk to as a friend, just give me a call, because he was there for me when I needed somebody too. So, but the funny story is at Bubba's wedding, Artie had money on the Saints. The Saints were playing the Eagles in the playoffs. Artie had money on the Saints, and we're both looking at our BlackBerries at that time to get scores. So I'm like, Artie, there's a sports bar like right across the street. We can go hang right over there. And he's like, okay, let's go. So Artie and I go over there. I get me a big, huge, tall whiskey sour, and I'm sitting there with Artie, who's stressing about money, like it's right on the edge of the Saints covering or not. And then I turn around, and there's everybody behind me, Tim Sabian and Gary, and like Scott Farrell. Everybody has come across the street and is with Artie and I partying. So later on that night, after everything's over and Artie lost money, he goes, hey, man, I'm still glad. I'm glad because I'm a Saints fan. He's like, I'm glad your team won, even though I lost money. And I was like, hey, we're getting ready to go take some coke and go hang out with strippers. You want to come with us? And he was like, Brent, if I started doing coke, we'd wind up in St. Louis by the end of the night. I was like, okay, understood. I just wanted to be hospitable. So he turned down that, but a group of us did go out with the strippers and the coke that night.
Good for you. You did say you texted him. I know he's coming out of hiding a little bit. Have you talked to him or had any conversations with him via text in the last couple months?
No, I texted him the other day. I've got 2 numbers for him. I texted him to both of them just to tell him I hope he's doing well and if he needs anything. I haven't heard back from him, but I just wanted to reach out and let him know, man, I'm here for you if you need me, brother. And I love Artie. He's one of the most talented people that I've ever heard on the radio, and his stand-up is just fantastic. So, great fucking guy. Love him.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. I love that a lot of his punchlines ended with having a coked out in St. Louis, or he had a sandwich thrown at him at this place at the Funny Bone. So he's had some fun here. Probably too much fun than he probably will be wanting to talk about in the future. But yeah, we love Artie. Were you around for Scott the Engineer's exit? I think that was after you, right?
No, that was before me. Scott actually in the last few months sat right next to me in the office with myself and Shuli, and who else was in there? Mike Fox. So, huge office. He sat next to me, and Scott's one of the people in life outside the Stern Show or whatever. He's just one of the people in life I feel bad for Scott, and I used to tell Scott this all the time in person, so this is no secret.
Does he want to hear that? Because what he's been said. They've been calling him a loser for all these years, and you're like, I feel so bad for you. It's funny, but
I did. I told him, I feel bad for you, brother. And I said, Scott, the only thing I want for you is you to have 5 minutes of enjoyment in your entire life, because he really is that down on himself, and I think it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get down and people tell you you're a loser, and you get into a downward spiral, and it gets in your head. And I tried with him. I told him, like, Scott, I love you. You're a great guy. Like, don't let any of this stuff get you down. And, he's somebody that's run into some bad luck and things like that. But I love Scott. I really, really do. I think he's a great guy.
What was that day like when he's not sitting there the next day? I mean, that just seemed like the weirdest one of all time.
Yeah, it was just weird to me because I had no idea what happened. I hadn't even heard. I was like, what's going on? They're like, you didn't hear? I was, no. So it was just weird. It was weird, and it just made me incredibly sad because I love Scott, and he'd been with the show for so long, and I just think that he should have been able to retire or whatever he wanted to do in his time, because he really did put his heart into the show for a lot of years.
Well, I hope one day he wants to talk here, because I think he would be fun to talk to and hear his story. But I'm not sure he's not sure he's going to be telling it soon. So we're wrapping up a little bit. Again, I appreciate your time. I guess I have to ask, because it's out, the jackhammer. That wasn't a big thing, right? That had nothing to do with you leaving the Stern Show. And everybody reads it, they go,
no. Here's the deal. My wife and I are swingers. That's what goes on in the swinging community. Like, this kind of stuff goes on all the time. Like, this past weekend, we were down in Fort Myers with a huge group of people at a huge, Halloween orgy. Like, we are swingers. That's what goes on. None of that stuff upsets me. Like, it really doesn't. Like, he's actually a pretty friendly guy. I went out to LA. I had a couple of chicks, and my wife is friendly with one of the chicks that I was with out in L.A., that's what goes on in swinging. We're easygoing. That's just like something that I'm into isn't going to upset me. That's, you know what I'm saying? The people that say that are projecting their feelings onto me. That's not my feelings. My wife will tell you I'm like not a jealous person at all. In fact, all these situations that we get into really are a turn on for me. It's not me getting upset. So the jackhammer had nothing to do with us leaving. Nothing whatsoever. You know, he's a nice enough guy, but swinging lifestyle, you meet, it's a dime a dozen, man. You meet lots of people. So, but that's what we are. That's what we do. We swing. Big deal.
I mentioned Scott the engineer. I believe he had an episode of swinging way back in it. Did you guys have a chance to discuss?
He came up to me after the first time I went on the air and talked about it. He came up to me and he goes, "Hello, my fellow swinger." Yeah, he used to do the key parties, like where they would go, like you put your hotel room key in different bowls and just be random. Now that I don't know if I could actually do. Like, well, I need some time, and this is going to sound very chickish of me. I need some time to talk to the woman and kind of get worked up and into it. Like, and if a woman's not cool and doesn't have a cool personality, like I'm out. And that's what I've learned that I like. I need to, like this past Halloween, like the party was at a regular bar from 8 to 12, so you couldn't really do anything. So it gave me a chance to like mingle and socialize with everybody. And then when it was time to get back to the house and get down to business, like I was comfortable with everybody. So yeah, it's a fun lifestyle, but people that aren't in it have some really serious misperceptions about what goes on and the jealousy of the guys in it. Because the guys in the swingers lifestyle are not jealous. Trust me, we have these conversations amongst ourselves all the time.
It's interesting.